Hey girls and gals, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today is day 3 of the Summerween readathon. I have already posted my first vlog, so if you've missed that, go ahead and check it out. It's days 1, 2, and then like part of day 3, but it is day 3 starting a new vlog because we are gonna get some really good reading in. I've already read and highly enjoyed 2 books. One was on my TBR, one was not. That's okay. I enjoyed both of them, and I do have some more good books to keep the Summerween vibes going. Lighting's a little crazy because it's actually the perfect weekend Summerween day. It's raining, it's dark, it's a little gloomy, so perfect staying inside and reading weather. Today's spooky Summerween shirt is my Pride month shirt because, you know, it's not June anymore, but Pride is year-round. So this one is by the artist Bill Sarafi, and his Instagram page is where you can find this delightful shirt and many other like kitschy, I guess. Kitschy's a good word for it. Kitschy, spooky, fun designs. So yes, my favorite. This definitely gets a lot of really fun looks in Arkansas. So yes, my Summerween shirt for the day. And then my reading for the day. I did briefly start this one last night before me and my partner went to go Insidious the Red Door. I did not get very far in it at all. So basically, I'm starting it today, and that would be Monstrilio by Gerardo, Samano, Cordova. And this one is about a couple. Their young son dies. The mother keeps a part of his lung and like grows it, or it grows into a little monster version that is maybe their son, probably not, and they have to try and nurture this creature, keep him alive. Sounds very interesting. A lot of those, I feel like, sort of discussions and plot points are things that I really enjoy in horror, so I will be reading this one today, and this I am going to be using it for the book that has orange or black on the cover because it is a matte black cover, and then we've also got a little bit of orange right there, and I really want to read this one. So yes, this is like the primary focus for today. I've been hearing nothing but wonderful things about this one, so even though it wasn't on my Summerween TBR, who's surprised, but I do want to pick this one up and get to reading it. And then my other one, because I do have to do not so fun adult things like, you know, catch up on laundry and pick up around the house a little bit today. So I am going to be picking up Harrow Lake by Ellis, and this one I will be listening to via audiobook. So this is what I'm going to be reading while folding laundry, doing things like that. This one I am using for the read a thriller prompt. This one it's a creepy, can't put down thriller about a daughter of a horror film director who's not afraid of anything until she gets to Harrow Lake. So this was an ARC. This came out in 2020 actually, but this is an ARC version that I got for free from the library this year, so that's why maybe my copy looks a little bit different than if you have this at home, but I don't anticipate any problems with it because, again, I'm listening to it via audiobook. I might pick up this and read it physically as well, but I think this one is going to be primarily audiobook because one of my coworkers who does read primarily via audiobook really enjoys this author and her work, so I figure probably they're really good audiobooks since that's what that coworker enjoys reading. So these are my reading plans to kick off Summerween day 3. Very excited about them. Again, gloomy day, just going to do some chores, read some good books, and then me and my partner are also going to watch a spooky movie. So yes, that is the introduction. Happy Summerween day 3. I'm gonna go get to reading, and I will talk to you all later. Hey spooky friends, happy Tuesday. I did not vlog any on Monday because I just ended up having the worst cramps. So I did get a lot of reading in, just not a lot of vlogging, just a lot of just relaxing. Took a bath after work, read some after work, and I did end up finishing another book. So this is going to fulfill the prompt. Read a thriller. This is a YA thriller, Harrow Lake by Ellis. We're following our main protagonist Lola, who has to go back after her father gets injured to be taken care of by her grandmother at an old mining town called Harrow Lake, where her father not only filmed his most infamous movie, but also where he met her mother. And her mother also mysteriously disappeared a long time ago when Lola was just a child. So Lola goes back to this mining town. Her grandmother and a lot of the other people in the town are not too friendly or fond of her. Weird things start happening, and Lola worries whether there may be a generational curse after finding some very cryptic things from her mother's childhood room where, you know, maybe something might have happened to her mother and maybe it's coming after her next. So I did enjoy this one. I think this is probably my least favorite of the three things that I've read for this readathon so far. I didn't not like it, but I will say, you know, YA thrillers generally not something that I normally pick up. I did read this primarily via audiobook, and I think that is the way to go. I did try and read it physically. I think I prefer the audiobook experience just because there are some interviews in here and just some other things like with sound effects and such that make this audiobook experience a pretty good one. So I would definitely recommend the audiobook over the physical book. This one, I feel like just for me, our characterization, like this was plot heavy over character heavy, and I just tend to prefer more character heavy horror and just more character heavy stories in general. I just really didn't feel like there's like a reveal at the end that I felt like could be more impactful had we actually gotten to spend more time with the characters that are involved with that reveal. And that's all I'll say, because obviously I don't want to give a lot away. I just felt like Lola needed to make more connections with other people, and you don't really get to know any other characters other than Lola. So I thought that was the biggest thing for me. This is very fast-paced, very readable. Like I said, I was listening to it. I was listening to it while I was doing laundry, driving to work, just doing a bunch of things, and the audiobook did keep my attention. So I think this is one where if you do really like YA horror, YA thrillers, I think you'll enjoy this a little bit more than I did, but by no means a bad book. I just feel like maybe I'm just not quite the age, or at least I shouldn't say that, I guess, because I know a lot of adults can, and I wish I was one of them, enjoy YA. I just feel like for me, I feel like I like fantasy, YA fantasy, a lot more than just contemporary YA stories. That's just me though. This was a good book, and I wouldn't hesitate to recommend it to people who do like YA thrillers, just maybe not if you don't tend to read that genre, like that genre. It's probably not going to be one where you're going to find an exception to the rule. So that's that one. And then my other one, I think I'm just going to make this one the read a book during the dark, or in the dark, because this one I've primarily read it via audiobook, like when I'm getting ready for bed. The one time I've read this physically was when it was kind of light outside, but technically night, so we can count that, I feel. So I think for the rest of this, I'm really going to focus on reading it at night in the dark via audiobook. And this is Monstrilio by Gerardo, Samano, Cordova, and this is about a woman who her son dies at the very beginning of this book. In her grief, she takes a piece of his lung and starts feeding it and nurturing it, and the lung starts growing into something else. So yeah, this one is very different in tone. It was interesting reading both of these kind of concurrently, because very speedy, very fast-paced YA thriller also kind of felt like a really good like B horror, or like a Netflix original like horror movie. That's the kind of vibes I feel like this was giving, not in a bad way, but just like a teen horror movie. I feel like this would be really good. And this one is a lot slower. It is definitely like literary horror. I'm really enjoying it. This one, not so much scary, although there have been some descriptions of what this thing, the lung and what it's growing into, that have been a little eerie, but this one is definitely like more introspective and sad so far rather than scary. But I am really enjoying this one and I will keep reading it. I think I'm about 30% of the way through, so I think if I read it tonight and Wednesday night and then Thursday night, I should be able to finish this by the time the readathon ends. So that is my plans for this one, but I am really enjoying it. Forgot to mention my Summerween shirt of the day. This one is the Literally Dead Book Club. This is one of the tie-dyes, and of course it's from the Literally Dead Book Club merch from Kayla from Books and Lala. So yeah, I love this color pattern. I love this tie-dye, very summery. As one of my coworkers said today at work, it's very bright and cheerful, but also a little bit dead, and we love that. So bright and cheerful death, that's like the Summerween vibe, is it not? So I should mention, in terms of reading plans, I am planning on picking up The Vegetarian by Han Kang today, and this one is translated. It's about a woman who wants to become a vegetarian and her husband has some issues with that. I've heard this is like very Kafka-esque, and it's just very unsettling at times. I really like food adjacent horror and like food as a vehicle for horror, so I am interested in this one. It is fairly short, so since I am going to be reading Monstrilio at night, I'll probably pick this one up during the day when it's light outside. And I think once I actually finish Monstrilio, I will have completed all the prompts. So this is just some extra Summerween reading, so that's pretty cool. And then I also, you know, a lot of my books, I've been reading them through the library. Obviously, I'm a big library reader. I do have a little bit of a library haul. I would call it like a TBR disruptor haul, but honestly, once I wrap up these next couple of books, I will be done with my TBR. So I might end up getting to some of these, if not in this vlog, then in the next one, because I think I am going to wrap this vlog up like by the end of tonight, maybe early morning tomorrow, and then have my last Summerween vlog be Wednesday and Thursday. So yeah, I have some books to talk about. Maybe we'll get to some, maybe we won't. Maybe that's like way too ambitious. So I'll just do a little library haul quickly because I am very excited about all of these. First one is Madalena in the Dark by Julia Fine. I don't know a lot about this one, except it's historical fiction. It's sapphic. It takes place at a school for performing arts, I think. Either one or both of the main characters are violinists, so intriguing. Also, next up we have the one that honestly, if I pick up any of these for Summerween, will probably be this one because it's the shortest. That's 19 Claws and a Blackbird by Agustina Bazterga, and this is a collection of short stories by the author of Tender is the Flesh. Speaking of food adjacent horror, that book is ooh, that book is a lot, but if you can stomach stories about cannibalism, then, you know, I would pick it up because I think it's absolutely wonderful. This is a very short story collection that I've been looking forward to reading. Next up, we have a horror, which is Dead 11 by Jimmy Giuliano. R.L. Stein says on the cover, chillingly creepy, you've been warned. This is about a island. It's about a creepy island where everyone has a strange obsession with the year 1994. A newcomer arrives hoping to learn the truth about her son's death. This one, the cover, first of all, super cool. So this is the author's debut novel. However, he has had several of his stories go viral on the Reddit No Sleep forum. So I'm very intrigued. It's a very weird premise. It's a very cool cover. I definitely want to pick this up soon. And then last but not least, I have two books that, like, the covers are very, very identical. They're both mystery thrillers. This one, you know what, I don't know. It's creepy house thriller horror time. Yeah, very similar covers. I keep getting them mixed up with each other. I think because of the covers, they also came out around the same time. I am intrigued to read them both, but yeah, I think that's very interesting. But I am excited to read those too. So that was just a really quick library haul, but that's the update. I'm gonna go read The Vegetarian and I will talk to you all later. Happy Wednesday, friends. I managed to finish both of the books that I had been currently reading. So honestly, I'm done. with the Summerween prompts, so that's pretty cool. So first off, let's talk The Vegetarian. This is a very interesting small novel about a woman who decides to go vegetarian, and various people in her life, her friends, her loved ones, do not support this decision. And this is told in 3 parts, and what's fascinating is our main character, Young-hye, is she's not the main character, but she is the main character. She's the protagonist, I would argue, of this story. However, it is not told through her point of view, which is very intentional and very interesting to read. The first part is told through her husband's perspective, and then her brother-in-law's perspective, and then her sister's perspective, and just kind of following how it just starts out with her deciding she wants to become vegetarian, and then it just really spirals downhill from there. Has a lot of interesting things to say about body autonomy. This has been described as Kafkaesque. I would say especially the first part definitely feels that way. Yeah, the book says it's a tale of power, obsession, and one woman's struggle to break free from the violence both outside and within her. And I just, this was so strange, but like interesting strange. Definitely a weird read. I do like food adjacent horror. If I haven't mentioned before, I am a vegan, so definitely reading this was interesting because a lot of the things, God, not all of the things, especially if you've read this book, but just some of the things that people in her circles were saying, you know, I've had said to me before, and then, you know, it's just, it goes on from there. And I don't know if that's like what made it so fascinating to me, or the fact that like woman eating, tender is the flesh. I do tend to enjoy horror and literary horror that is like food adjacent or has food, or just like the culture of eating as a mechanic for, you know, talking about different social culture issues. So yeah, very intriguing. This was definitely a short one. I also think this is the oldest book on my TBR, which it's not even that old, but all of those are pretty new releases. So this came out in 2007, and then the translation came out in 2015. So yeah, very interesting. Very short and a very brutal read. Now, moving on to the next book that I finished, which I have to think on it, but it might be my favorite book that I've read this readathon so far, and that would be Monstrilio. And I feel like I've talked about this premise a lot. This is such an oddball of a book. It's literary horror, but it's also like so oddly sweet and cozy and tender and sad. It starts off with a woman named Magos, and her son Santiago dies, and in her grief she takes a piece of his lung, and based on like folk tales and things she's heard, she buries the lung and feeds it, and it starts to grow into something. Maybe it's an animal, maybe it's like a tumor, maybe it's something more. So we follow that lung's growth as it becomes Monstrilio, and this is told in 4 different perspectives. So we have Magos's perspective, Lena's perspective, Josef's perspective, and M's perspective. And this was just like so beautiful at times. I fell in love with this little monster here. I just think, first of all, audiobook, excellent. Physical reading experience, excellent. I highly enjoyed both of them. It touches on grief, it touches on love, it touches on the things that we do for the people, or maybe the things that we love, and like the acceptance of those people and the acceptance of things that we love, and the lengths that we would go for the people that we love. And just, this was very beautiful and sad, and I really enjoyed it. And it definitely wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I knew the synopsis going in, but I didn't know how long of a time period it would span, because it starts right after their young son dies, Magos and Josef, and then it goes on for I think almost a decade or so afterwards. So this was so fascinating, and this is definitely going to be one where I'm going to be thinking about it for a very long time afterwards. It just was absolutely beautiful, and yeah, I don't have enough good things to say about it, but it was very sweet and very touching, and you know, from beginning to end I really loved it. I was engrossed in it, so I think this is my favorite book of the readathon so far. I really loved it. But that is going to be it for this vlog. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up leave a comment down below, subscribe to my channel. We have one more Summerween vlog coming up, so that's very exciting. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe, stay spooky, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!